Then they said, "Why do we need any more testimony? We have heard it from his own lips." Because
they allow certain limited autonomy to the Sanhedrin, except death sentence and execution. That has to be done by the Roman court and by the Romans. So even though they put Jesus to death sentence, they had no power. So Pilate had to do it. So they brought Jesus to Pilate.
So they could do everything except for capital punishment.
Right, right. So Sanhedrin was very powerful. You know, jail term for life. It's okay. Pilate was up at his work already. It said usually Roman officers, they start their work at 6 a.m. Very early they start. So, okay, next question. What charges against Jesus did they present to Pilate?
And they began to accuse him, saying, "We found this man misleading the nation," which, and forbidding us to pay tribute to Caesar, and saying he himself is Christ,
Yeah.
the King.
So three charges they brought: insurrection, and refused to pay tax to Caesar, and he claims that he is a king. There has to be evidence. If Jesus was guilty of insurrection, there has to be some evidence. But Jesus never did such a thing. And opposing taxes, that was one of the biggest issue among the people of Israel, nothing new. And the king. Next question.
who was Pilate? What was his responsibility? He was the
Yeah. Pilate was a Roman governor. What was his responsibility?
colony.
Yeah.
Quiet.
Right. First, you need to collect taxes and send it to Caesar. Yeah. And then he has to govern the colony. He has to have ability to keep the colony quiet or stable or calm. No insurrection. So the Romans used the fear, crucifixion, to keep the people not rebellious. And then he has to serve as a judge. Of the Roman court. So he is a politician at the same time. He is the judge. And at that time, the Roman law was well developed and established. So he is almost like a lawyer, you know. Okay, next question.
What was his relationship with Herod and with the Jews? Distant enemies.
Yeah. Verse 12, he and Herod were enemies. And with the Jews, chapter 13, Luke chapter 13, verse 1, there was some bloody encounter with the Jews, with the Galileans. We don't know what the incident, but they said the Pilate mixed the blood of Galilean with the sacrifice. There was some event. So Josephus, the Jewish historian, he wrote down two things in the history book. We don't have any other resource but the book, Josephus book. One is about the banner. All the Roman governors entered the Jerusalem city. They removed the banner. They just armed march without Roman banner. But Pilate, for the first time, at night, Roman soldiers entered with Roman banner. And then the Jews hated it, didn't allow, because they say it is idol. So at that time, during the Pilate governorship, the Roman emperors almost like a god, almost like God. So Pilate, in his thinking, that's the protocol. When you enter some colony, you have to carry the Roman banner. But at night, he brought, and soldiers marched with the Roman banner. And the Jews were so angry, and they protested. And then Pilate said, if you do that, I'm going to kill you. So the Jews all exposed their neck. And then he said, cut my neck. I'd rather die, than disobeying God's, command. And I don't know the end, what happened the end. Another one is waterway. Romans are so excellent, so famous of building road and water supplies. And then Pilate saw the city of Israel is lack of water. So he said, we need a waterway, construct waterway to provide more water to Jerusalem city. That's a good idea, That's how city develops. But Pilate asked the project should be funded by temple treasury money. And then again the Jew says, wow, no way. This holy God's money, it cannot be used, such things. So they protested. So these two incidents, I don't know which ended blood mixed, mentioned in chapter 13, which incident ended with the blood. So he had bitter encounters with the Jews, bitter and bloody encounters before Jesus' trial. Okay, next question. Where was the Roman?
Where,
Mhm.
where was the Roman military station? Why was Pilate in Jerusalem?
They stationed Caesarea, the coastal city, harbor city, Caesarea, far away from Jerusalem. Why was Pilate in Jerusalem then? It's supposed to be in Caesarea. There's Barabbas was in the jail, arrested in jail. That tells that recent riot, political riot. And during Passover, a lot of Jews coming from the nation and from abroad. And Pilate brought some Roman soldiers to keep an order during Passover to prevent any riot. He wanna keep the order. Okay, question 3.
Of the three charges, on what charge did Pilate focus his investigation? From verse 3, and Pilate asked him, "Are you king of the Jews?" And he answered him, "You have said so."
Yeah, uh, Pilate focused on the king. But this is very sensitive. All right, next question.
What did Pilate say about Jesus' crime after his interrogation? Then Pilate announced to the chief priests and the crowd, "I find no basis for a charge against this man, innocent."
Okay, so if Jesus claimed that he is king, at least he has to have some soldiers, even one horse, with some territory or some activity. Yeah, nothing. I find no basis for a charge against this man. Nothing. Okay, next question. How did the religious leaders respond to the Pilate report? Verse 5.
Verse 5, it says, "But they were urgent, saying, 'He stirs up the people, teaching throughout all Judea, from Galilee even to this place.'"
Yeah. So the Jews, uh, the Jesus was inside of Herod's palace. No. Pilate's court. The Jews were outside, so that Pilate was in and out, in and out. And Gospel Luke, he piloted in and out 3 times. According to Gospel John, he in and out 7 times. So Gospel Luke is the most simple about Jesus' trial before Pilate. Gospel John is very in detail, more detail. So he goes inside, asks Jesus, questions, and he goes outside, talk to the religious leaders, and he goes inside like that. Trial was like that, but the Jews refused to come in. Okay. Next question.
Why did Pilate send Jesus to Herod? On hearing this, Pilate asked if the man was Galilean. When he learned that Jesus was under Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who was also in Jerusalem at that time. So
Yeah.
it's not his jurisdiction.
Okay, so here is Israel, Galilee, Jerusalem here, and then Herod Antipas, his territory here, and then here is Philip Herod, and his Sanhedrin was territory, but he heard Jesus was started from Galilee and all the way here traveling. So, was he a Galilean? Yes, Jesus was from Galilee. So, the Pilate sent Jesus to Herod. Also, the reason Pilate sent to Jesus, Pilate didn't want to try Jesus because when he examined Jesus, he already knew this man was innocent and he didn't want to be involved in this trial. So he found, opportunity to pass this trial to Herod. So, it's good. He's a Galilean, so Herod can do it. Next question.
What is jurisdiction, control area?
Yeah. And I looked at dictionary just 10 minutes ago before Bible study. Official power to make legal decision and judgment. But usually the area where you live. So our jurisdiction is Harris County. And then we can appeal higher court, appeal Supreme Court, like that. So Pilate found Jesus belonged to Herod's jurisdiction. Next question.
According to Roman law, under what jurisdiction should Jesus be tried?
According to the Roman law, the jurisdiction will be decided where the incident took place. Jesus was from Galilee, like someone who lives in Florida came to Houston and committed a murder, then he will be tried in Houston court, not Florida, where he committed the crime. That was the Roman law. So really, Herod's jurisdiction doesn't apply. Where the event took place, that will be jurisdiction. Okay, next question.
Why was Herod pleased to see Jesus? When Herod saw Jesus, he was glad, for he had long sought to see him because he had heard about him and was hoping to see sign done by him.
Yeah. So Herod heard about Jesus and the miracles. So he was so glad, and finally now I can see him perform miracles. Next question.
How did Jesus respond to the many questions of Herod? He plied him with many questions, but Jesus gave him no answer.
No answer, no response. He just didn't say a word. Okay. So, Jesus answered Sadducees' question, Pharisees' question. He just answered some stupid question. He just answered. But Jesus will not answer because Herod want Jesus to entertainment. Like Herod wants to have fun. God doesn't respond. God doesn't respond when we consider God as entertainment. Even Jesus answered, enemies, sincere question. He just answered, but not entertainment. Okay, next question. How did the religious leaders do before? What the religious?
What did the religious leaders do before Herod? The chief priests and the scribes stood by, accusing him.
Yeah, they were there and accusing Jesus in the same way they did to Pilate. Next question.
What did Herod and his soldiers do to Jesus? Then Herod and his soldiers ridiculed and mocked him, dressing him in an elegant robe. They sent him back to Pilate.
Yeah, they ridiculed, mocked. They tried to have a fun, but Jesus had no response. Next question.
Why did Herod send Jesus back to Pilate? I guess they were bored with him.
Yeah, because Herod found no guilt. I mean, from the beginning, Herod was not interested to have a trial at all. He just wanted to have a fun, but he was disappointed. But clearly, the Jews were accusing vehemently, but Herod saw he found no guilt in Jesus. Next question.
What opportunity did Herod miss when he treated Jesus as an entertainment? He might see Christ.
Right. Christ, the Messiah, was standing in front of him, but he missed because Herod's mind was just seeking, I'm gonna have a fun time with him. So he missed. Christ stood right in front of him, but he missed. Okay, next question. What did Pilate say about Jesus' crime after his further interrogation of Jesus?
It says in 14 and 15 that, and said to them, "You brought this man as one who was misleading the people. After examining him before you, behold, I did not find this man guilty of any of your charges against him. Neither did Herod, for he sent him back to us. Look, nothing deserving death has been done by him."
Right. So this is second round. Second round after Jesus returned from Herod. I have found no basis for your charges against him. He has done nothing to deserve death. Okay, next question.
Why was this second report later than the first one?
Pilate's report. Why this second Pilate report to the Jews? weightier than the first one.
It's not only Pilate himself, Herod.
Right. Even Herod proved. Herod couldn't find any guilt from this man. So now Pilate found Jesus was innocent. Herod supported Pilate's report. See, not only me, but Herod also couldn't find anything wrong in Jesus. Okay, next question.
How did Pilate try to complete the trial of Jesus? I will therefore punish and release them.
Yeah. So this is, he's trying to make a conclusion. This man is innocent. Therefore, I will punish him and then release him. Why he wanna punish Jesus? Even though Jesus was, he said, innocent.
And he's satisfied with it.
Yeah. By punishing Jesus, like whipping with a rod or something. By punishing, and then Jesus will suffer and believe, and then somehow the Jews will be comforted, satisfied, because if they are human being, innocent man is, punished and bleeding like that. If they are human being, okay, that's enough. They may have a pity on Jesus. That's Pilate figure. Maybe Pilate had been doing that and it worked that way. Okay, next question.
Between Jesus and Barabbas, whom did the Jews choose? Barabbas.
Yeah. The Jews chose Barabbas. Give us Barabbas. Now, the Christ, the Messiah, God incarnate, Savior, and the Barabbas is the head of a rebellion, killed people. They chose Barabbas and they rejected the Messiah. And until today, 2,000 years passed until today, they have no Christ because they chose, purposely they chose. They rejected the Savior and they chose the head of rebellion. Okay, so their national direction went that way. Question 6.
What did Pilate do again in order to release Jesus? Wanting to release Jesus, Pilate appealed to them again.
Mm-hmm. And then, next question.
How did the Jews respond?
This is the third round between Pilate and the Jews. Third round.
But they keep on shouting, crucify him, crucify him.
Yeah. And the word crucify him came out from the mouth of the Jews. First time. Crucify him. Anyway, the Romans death sentence is, for the Roman citizen is beheading. The non-Roman citizen is crucifixion. So they said, crucify him, crucify him. That's why Apostle Paul was beheaded, because he was Roman citizen. But Peter was crucified because he was the Jew. Okay, next question.
What did Pilate say about Jesus coming for the third time? For the third time he spoke to them. Why? What crime has this man committed? I have found in him no grounds for the death penalty. Therefore I will have him punished and then released him.
Yeah. I have found in him no ground for the death penalty. Third time, Pilate said. Next question.
How did Pilate try to conclude the trial of Jesus for the third time? But they were urgent, demanding that loud cries that she should be crucified, and the voices prevailed.
Yeah.
And from verse 24, I think 24 you've gone. So
Uh,
Pilate decided that their demand should be granted. This is the third time.
So I will have him punished and then release him. That's how Pilate want to conclude the trial. Okay, next question.
What witness of Pilate did the Jews know of?
What weakness of Pilate did the Jews know of? And then they shouted all the more, louder, louder, louder. When you look at Matthew 27, verse 24, there was almost the riot was starting. In John chapter 19, they said, if you release this man, you are not Caesar's friend. And then say, we have only one king, Caesar. So if you release this man, who claims to be a king, you are against our King Caesar. Okay.
Try to maintain his position.
Yeah. Caesar, Tiberius. Here. And then the Jews here. And what's that? Pilate, governor here. I mean, this one is right now between them, back and forth, back and forth. Pilate say, this man is innocent, crucify him. I don't find anything here. He's, stirring up our nation to all this back and forth. But this is not the only situation. The Jews has right to appeal directly to Caesar. And they did. The Jews, few times, they traveled to Rome, and then they reported to Caesar and brought to the downfall of political leaders. They did. And so, and then they are attacking this relation. See, Tiberius Caesar appointed Pilate to go govern the area, collect taxes, and send it to Rome, and govern the area according to the Roman law, as the judge of the Roman court. So, Pilate is doing this one, but the Jews are attacking this relationship. If you release this man, you are not the friend of Caesar, because you release the man who claimed to be a king. We have only one king, Caesar. And then and then they know if they start rebellion, and then it will bring downfall to Pilate. So it's not just between Pilate and the Jews. The relationship is like a triangular. And the Jews were threatening Pilate, attacking. You know what would happen to you if we appeal to Caesar? And then there are two events I mentioned earlier. and all these three events are reported to Caesar, he will bring down Pilate. So the Jews are very wicked. Okay, next question.
Finally, what was Pilate's verdict at Jesus' trial? He decided that their demand should be granted. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, for whom they asked, but he delivered Jesus over to their will.
Yeah. So he gave the verdict, put Jesus to death, and released the Barabbas. Question 7.
As the judge of the Roman court, what should Pilate have done?
What should Pilate have done as the judge of the Roman court?
So, no grounds, so
Yeah.
release him.
Yeah. I mean, even Roman law requires evidence. And he knew 3 times he said this man did nothing to deserve death. So he should have released Jesus. Okay, next question.
Why couldn't he serve justice even though he knew Jesus was innocent? Because the people were causing a riot.
Okay. Pilate, he was looking for a way for both. For both his political career and release of Jesus. He was working for both. He trying to hold for both. Keep his political career safe and release innocent Jesus. He was seeking a way for both. And it didn't work. It didn't work. The situation was he had to choose one. He had to choose one. So when he was seeking for both, he failed. He failed because the situation was he had to choose one. Only one, not two. So what did he choose? Him or Jesus? He had to choose one. So he chose him. He chose his own life, safety of his own life. So anyway, do you think he will sacrifice his own life because of one prisoner? To the Romans, one prisoner is nothing. It's like a little dog every day. But this is the situation was. He was looking for a way for both, and it didn't work. It came down to failure. Because the situation was he had to choose one. Okay. Next question.
How long did he remain as the governor?
So, for his political career for the future, he chose for his career. And he was a governor 26 AD to 36 AD. And then the year 36, he was called back to Rome. And then nobody knows what happened to him because he disappeared from the history. Whether he went exile or executed or in jail, or we don't know. He's over. So, Jesus was crucified. Nobody knows, but some say 30 AD or 31 AD or 29 AD. So, after Jesus' crucifixion, he had only barely 5 or 6 years more, and then he was done. Very short. He worried about his own political career, but it was short. Okay, next question.
The Jews, Herod, and Pilate encountered Jesus. Why did they fail to see the truth in Jesus?
They all met Jesus personally, but why did they fail to see the truth in Jesus? Because their heart, they had their own thought. They were blinded by their own thought. That's people's mind. Our mind, when we have predetermined own thought, then we cannot see truth. So when we see Jesus, we have to remove own thought, and then we'll be able to see. And then we have to seek truth eagerly, searching, like looking for a treasure, hidden treasure. We have to have an eager heart. Then we can see truth in Jesus. Otherwise, we become blind by own desire, and we skip Jesus. Even though Jesus is standing in front of us, we will not be able to see Jesus. So Jews, Herod, Pilate, they all were not able to see Jesus. Okay, next question. Everybody answer, please.
You are Pilate, what did you do?
If you're Pilate, what would you do?
Release Jesus.
You will choose Jesus and put your life in danger.
Yeah, would do that. I don't think.
My son, when he was young, all his answers, I don't know. I don't know. He didn't want to figure out yes or no. He said, I don't know. But when you have responsibility, you cannot say, I don't know. You have to say yes or no. Someday we are in a position we have to decide what to do. We don't want to be Pilate, and we want to please for everybody. We're looking for a way to please both parties, but that doesn't always work. We will face a situation to choose just one, either I or Jesus. So, as a Christian, we must choose. You know, I was thinking about this one. You must choose. My life, or Jesus. If I choose Jesus, I will perish. If I choose myself, and we will put Jesus to death. We have to choose one. And then we must choose. We must choose what is right. Pilate, 3 times, he said in his own word, Jesus is innocent, but he couldn't choose it because he worried about his life, his wife, his children, you know. We must choose what is right. That's our job. And then after that, what about my life, my family, my children? Let God take care of it. Let God decide. Let God decide. So, John the Baptist, God decided. John did what he had to do. He rebuked the Herod, this Herod, same Herod, Herod Antipas. John did what is right. He did. God decided John to die. Jesus, he said, yes, I am. God decided Jesus to die. But also, you know, Daniel's 3 friends, they did not obey the whatever the emperor. They refused. So they were thrown into the burning furnace. And God decided to save them. So God sent angels to protect them. Daniel, he refused to stop praying to the Jerusalem and then, you know, worship idol. He refused and continued to pray. And they put in a lion's den. God decided to save them. So, you know, let God decide. Our job is to what is right. Our job is to what is right. And after that, live in God's hand. Live in God's hand. Like a pilot, trying to figure out, couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He couldn't sacrifice his career, his family, his children. He couldn't do it. So he had to put Jesus to death. But we just choose. Our job is choose to do what is right and let God take care of the rest. If we have to die, then we die. If God decided to save us, then he will send us angels and deliver us. If it is time to go, let's go. Or if it's time to experience miraculous salvation, then we work a little bit more. Okay, today's Bible study is up to here.